Hi, welcome to Taktik, and today we got something special for you guys. Thanks to our distributor for GNG in Canada, we actually have access to two of the G2 prototypes that were available at SHOT Show this year. What we have on the left is a licensed product from Knights, and on the right is a stylized DMR in the heavy platform from the regular series from GNG that will be available later on. It's called the G2 Advanced, the G2 Etch Advanced. So what these are basically the new series from GNG, which includes a brand new mech box design that we'll see in detail, a little bit more detail later on, as well as new hop-ups. Now, in terms of external features, both are completely ambidextrous. Well, to a certain extent. All the guns that will be coming in the stylized designs, so sort of like the SRS, SRL, the Wild Hog, and Warthog, have ambi controls everywhere. So ambi charging handle, ambi selector, bolt catch, and mag release on both sides. It should be noted that on these models, the selector is going to be a 90-degree design. So 45 for semi, and then 90 degrees for full auto. Much larger mag release, far more comfortable. This is basically their new G2 Etch series, so it has the much larger 308 style magazine, and it also features certain features that we'll be looking into on the Knights Armaments design as well. Actually, I don't want to push that in too much. Let's put it aside. So that's a stylized design. They're essentially the same internally, just that the G2 heavy mech box is slightly longer to accommodate the longer mag. Now, this is their Knights Armament licensed product, so you see Stoner rifle on this side, as well as a URX3 style rail, and the really nice Knights Armaments flip-up sights. Now, this is not completely ambidextrous because this, unlike the real rifle, has a standard charging handle. But all of the other controls are. So, like, you got a traditional 180-degree selector that goes from safe to full auto in 180 degrees. You got the bolt catch and mag release there on both sides. Now, there's a radial hop-up, which you have access to using the charging handle. Now this is new, getting a bolt lock with the functional bolt catch. So the main feature about these guns is basically the mag detect. We actually have a 7.4 LiPo in here right now, 1000 milliamp hour. We're in safe. We're going to put it in semi. Just put on some shooting glasses, just to be sure. And when I pull the trigger, I have no reaction from the gun. There's a little lever inside the system that's connected naturally to the trigger setup, and that once is tripped gives you access to the ability to shoot. So I'm going to trip that right now, and there you go. So if I take a normal mag, so this is one of GNG's new polymer mags. There's only a few rounds in here. Put it in, a few shots. And now we're empty. I can technically still shoot. The only issue now is I'm not necessarily safe. All I have to do is take out the mag, and technically I'm safe too. So, no mag, no response. Now, the gun on the other hand also ships with this mag. This is a particularly special mag. It actually has a detent within the system that when the mag is empty, forces the gun to stop. So that lever gets tripped again to give you a certain level of realism, in the sense that once your mag is empty, gun stops, change mag, gun continues. So here we go, let's try this. So gun functions. Let's empty her out. And I'm empty. I'm going to do semi, full auto, no response from the gun. Put it back in safe. Empty mag. Basically, that's one of the new features with the G2s. is that ability to detect whether or not there's a mag inside. If you have no mag, the gun becomes safe. If you use the mag that comes with the gun, or if you buy extra ones, you can actually play a bit of a milsim setup and run the gun until the mag is empty. Change mags because, well, the gun told you you're empty. So we'll take a more in-depth look with the hop-up unit and the gearbox in the next segments. So the hop-up unit is actually a radial hop-up unit. These units, along with the entire mech box assembly, will be available for sale separately. So you can actually retrofit these into your older G&G products with no issues. Everybody's going the way of the radial dials. Very nice, distinct click marks whenever you rotate. It's a pretty nice unit. Oh, and unlike the older G&G models, these actually come with the springs to set the barrel in place properly, or to set the actual hop-up unit against the nozzle properly. Very nice setup. So we're back now with the actual mech box setup with its motor. We're going to look at the feature set of the new G2. Like we mentioned, the G2 Etch will actually just be slightly longer to accommodate for the longer mag. So there's a few features right off the bat that are special. On the non-licensed guns, essentially what you'll have is a flat trigger on a microswitch setup, very reactive. The button you see here on this side, that's actually your mag sensor. That will tell you whether or not there's a mag in the gun, and that's what allows the gun to function properly. Or function when there's a mag in it, and to stop when there's no mag in it. So we're going to start from front to back. So by default, you get a aluminum nozzle. Inside there's an aluminum cylinder head, aluminum piston head, full steel rack on the piston, quick change spring design right there. So you don't necessarily need to take the mech box out of, well, you just need to bring the gun to this setup to change the spring. So this is your selector setup here, and it's ambidextrous on the other side, so that allows for ambidextrous setups. There is no blowback, so that's a feature that G&G has done away with. The bolt locks to the rear, and the bolt catch is actually integrated into the mech box, which allows for the ambi controls. So you just need to release it, not as easy with gloves. There we go. Then we have a much smaller MOSFET than the previous generation from a year ago, practically half the size actually. And finally, a car style fuse. The motor is an Ifrit high torque motor that runs about 25,000 RPM. So that's essentially it. It's a heavily reinforced front end. You got the scalloping on every corner to mitigate pressure on the components, or mitigate pressure on the actual mech box. It's essentially a very solid piece, really well built, and this will be these guns are supposed to be available by the end of spring and early summer. That's it. So this is Gabriel signing off.